Oh,
Hello, welcome to the Baudelaire Book Club.
we didn't plan this again. You keep springing this shit on me.
I'm just teasing.
You can't.
Oh, I
You
got one
can't
bit.
have an intro and not tell me.
Well, it's not. Well, yeah, that's fair. Here, do you want me to? Do you want to redo it? Because I'll edit this
No.
anyway. What do you want the intro to be? You
I
never
want
told me
no
you wanted
intro.
one. No intro. It's just the
No
video.
intro. We have a title screen up. They can read. They know what this is.
You're right. I didn't think of that.
Broke my feather off. Hold on. There we go. It's back.
Well, yeah. Can I? I'm sharing the book club with you. I'm sharing this, and now we're ready. I got
Now,
chat.
yeah.
Now I'm actually ready. So, with all the stream shit.
Those jorts are gonna get you all of the bitches.
Thank you so much for resubscribing for 1 year, Callisto. Thank you. Saying this shit is so poggers. Thanks.
This shit is so epic swag.
Gang gang. Alrighty. Let's get going. Vile Village.
Mm-hmm.
Mid.
Book 7 of 13. Mid is in middle, first of all. I don't
You're
know
right.
any other talks about mid regarding this book.
You're right. You know
That
what?
was very good.
That was good. You're absolutely correct.
Those jorts are gonna get you all of the bitches.
So much. Yeah, I need to turn off the alerts for today. Cause like I can't with this. Like you can't hear it, but I can. And so alerts are gonna be hidden today. No sound alerts either. And if you don't like it, sad. I'll see it in chat. Okay. So, book 7 of 13, as you said, the midpoint, which I didn't think about, but you are actually like that. You're right.
Yeah. Well, I think I brought it up last time too, that it's like these are the two middle books. And
You did, yeah.
book 8 through 13, these are like the end. These are like the later books.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, because it is the divide. It's the split.
Yep.
Oh, man, it's all.
This is where shit changes.
The Tetris pieces are sliding.
Yeah. This is where the formula solved a little bit.
That's correct. I am so excited. All right. Vile Village. Kale, what's it about?
Oh yeah. So the children once again find themselves without a home in the care of Mr. Poe. And he's trying to find them a guardian, and he's having a really hard time because they have a reputation for getting their guardians killed. But eventually Mr. Poe gets a call from an initiative where the whole towns will take care of children in the following the motto of "It takes a village to raise a child." The Baudelaire orphans are allowed to choose which town they live in, and they choose a town called VFD. VFD, or Village of Foul Devotees, is run by a group of elders with strange and very strict rules, and is overrun by crows. The children meet Hector, who is the town handyman and the one who is actually taking care of them. He's the one who's like feeding them and putting a roof over their head. The rest of the town is just allowing them to do their chores for them. Hector shows the orphans a couplet that he found from the one and only Isadora Quagmire. As the orphans adjust to life in VFD, they find more and more couplets hinting at where Isadora and Duncan might be held. But before they can uncover anything, they receive the shocking news that Count Olaf has been captured. Only it isn't Count Olaf; it's a man named Jacques, who just so happens to have one eyebrow and a tattoo of an eye on his ankle. The next morning, after Jacques is arrested, he's found murdered, and the Baudelaires are framed for his murder by the real Count Olaf, who's posing as a detective. The Baudelaire children managed to break out of jail, and they managed to rescue the Quagmire children before they were burned at the stake. The Quagmire triplets flee with Hector in his self-sustaining hot air mobile home, but the orphans are trapped on the ground. And while they are framed for this murder, they manage to escape Esme and Count Olaf and the VFD village. But for the first time, they're truly on their own and with nowhere to go. That's my summary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was quite the doozy of a read.
Yeah.
And
Summarized the fuck out of that.
summary fucks.
Mm-hmm.
The notes section.
Now we're on to our little notes.
Our little notes. I needed to delete that slide, and now I realize I didn't. Oopsies. But initial observations, because getting into these are very fun. There's so much that like it was quite a bit. Ooh.
So the book opens by reminding us that Violet is still 14 years old, which is insane. It implies that all of these events have happened in under a year. They've gone through, what, 6 caregivers in under a year because of Count Olaf?
I think so. I think has it been only a year?
Well, that's what it implies. She's 14 when the book's in book 1.
Oh.
And now book 7, she is still 14 years old, so...
Yeah, I guess Klaus's age should, at minimum, or at most, still under a year. It has to have been like...
Most under a year. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense, because they're only... How long are they in this town for?
Like a couple days.
Was it really only a couple days?
It's only a couple days, because they get couplet every day, basically, that they're there. And they only get, like, what, 4?
Mm-hmm.
So...
Yeah, they only do get 4. And they kind of get the 4th one too late. Well, I guess they get it in time. But the couplets are really good. I should
the couplets later.
We'll do the couplets later. They're fun. What's we got? Klaus's birthday.
In this book, we do get Klaus's birthday. He turns 13 in jail, which is it's very fun.
I think that's hard as fuck for him. Like you know, for the book nerd.
Yeah. When he's like, 36 and he has like a normal life, he's gonna be able to like absolutely demolish 2 truths and a lie by being like, I turned 13 in jail. Crazy.
I can only imagine like the riz that he could have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like he's gonna make, like, I feel like Klaus is gonna make it out of all. Well, Sunny makes it first and foremost.
Sunny, yeah.
Sunny walks her own path.
Literally.
Yes, she does. Okay. Oh.
So, this is a quote from the book. Citizens of VFD aren't allowed to use their mouths for recreational activities. Absolute shame that head has been banned in the village of foul devotees.
When I was reading the book, thinking back on it, absolutely, all of those people are absolutely deprived of head, and it would explain so much.
I don't think anything. The plot of this book would not happen if the elders simply got a good sucking off. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Like, if they just, I think that's the case for everybody. I think that the only person who's getting head is Olaf.
Which is, poor Esme. But...
Mm-hmm. I don't know about that. We'll get there. We'll get there, because I know we're very excited. I don't know. Probably not.
Mr. Poe, so he's been promoted to vice president of orphan affairs. His literal only job is to take care of these kids, and he still acts like it's a huge pain in the ass to do his job. He's getting paid a 9 to 5, getting dental off of this, and he acts like he can't be bothered.
Mr. Poe is the most villainous in this book, in some of the most heinous shit, and by that it's like the lack of care.
Son of a bitch.
Absolutely, absolutely. Can I share that crackpot theory that I kind of postulated to you the other day?
Yeah, go ahead.
Since we're here at Mr. Poe, so I was thinking about it, and I was like, I couldn't remember like how the Baudelaires ended up on their own, because I hadn't finished the book on the reread, so I was like trying to remember, And I ended up coming up with this like little bit of a theory where I was like, Count Olaf happens to know. Or no, we find out how Count Olaf knows.
Yes, in book 10, not 10, Carnivorous Carnival, whatever that one is. It's like 9 maybe. It's after Hostile Hospital.
Yes.
That one.
That one.
You find out how Count Olaf knows.
Ooh, so that'll be fun. In two episodes, we'll get to know.
I already know.
Because you got big brain. You got
I'm smart.
You got that semi-cortex or whatever it is. But I think that Mr. Olaf, I had a theory that Mr. Poe and Count Olaf were not necessarily allies, but like working towards a similar goal, and kind of like went in and like are both trying to get the Baudelaire fortune, and Mr. Poe basically realizing that he found a better legal way to make a little less of a nut, but he could still get what he needs. I guess by like just getting constantly promoted. He was the manager of coins, now orphan of affairs, almost as if he created more orphan work that they had to make a department at the bank for it. But like he always knows where they're at. The fact that the banker came to Briny Beach to tell the kids, that's odd. You'd think it would be like the lawyer or the police or something.
Well, to be fair, Mr. Poe is a family friend.
Oh, had they known Mr. Poe for like a long time?
That's what they say in book 1 and like 3.
Oh, I forgot about that. Although, see, but I don't think he knows anything.
Mr. Poe. Let's be clear. Fuck him. But like,
that's fair. I wonder if he has any involvement in VFD. I don't think he does.
I don't think he does.
So he might just be dumb. But it's like the Darth Jar Jar Binks theory. That's like it's like Darth Poe for me. But I'm gonna gather more evidence in the next few books. I'm gonna come up with like a good practice.
Mr. Poe.
Thank you. I'll try.
So the tree that all the crows roost in is called Nevermore Tree, which I thought was funny because in Edgar Allan Poe's like The Raven, to quote The Raven, Nevermore. It's funny.
It's a very good letter. It's very good reference. I mean, they're chock full of them. Like it especially in this book, it felt like he was Lemony was putting shit in constantly, to the point where it's just like, yeah, okay. Did you notice that there was 2 murders outside the jail?
Yes, very funny.
Thank you. Oh, my notes on here. Page 2 of this book. Lemony does this thing where he's talking about, don't read because it's bad, and he goes, "You will most certainly find yourself moaning in despair instead of wriggling in delight." And then goes on about a book that gets referenced later, and it's just a one-off. You can write silly goof. You write your own jokes. It's pretty good. But I gotta say that I've never heard the phrase "wriggling in delight," and it just what is that? What is wriggling in delight to you?
I don't know. It makes me think of worms, which I don't like.
Yeah, I think little guy, kind of like excited, shaken, kind of. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's about it, but thank you, whatever that was. One of the lines I really liked, so Mr. Poe's bitching about it takes a village to raise a child, so there's now all these villages that want to take that literally and help raise orphans, as then just make them part of the community, which the village of foul devotees abuses, but we can get there. They Mr. Poe is well, hey, your parents did say that they wanted to do whatever was most convenient, which I believe their intent was most convenient for the kids.
Right. And again, we see Mr. Poe just twisting the parents' will to be whatever's easiest for him.
Well, it's it is the most convenient.
Are gonna get you all of the bitches.
Which is how these kids got into this fucking mess in the first place. Because if they had just gone, because the whole reason they lived with Count Olaf in the first place was because the parents are like, the children are to live with their closest relatives, and it's like, well, Count Olaf lives just like a few minutes away on the other side of town,
He's
and
right there.
he's right there. And so, just Mr. Poe willfully like misinterpreting the parents' will to be what's easiest for him.
It's super shitty. Like it's that classic it's just manipulation, and I think in a lot of ways it's like the final straw. Like you could tell that Mr. Poe was at his like wit's end when their 19th or their 19th cousin removed or something like that.
Yeah.
Calls apparently, which I wrote the name down because I was like, who is this? Who is this man? Mr. Fagin is a 19th cousin, and I'm just like, does that mean anything? I didn't look it up, but I'm like, fuck this guy. Anyone who gets a name makes me mad because you can never trust them.
And it's like, it's more bullshit where it's like, they couldn't have lived with Justice Strauss after the bullshit in the first book, but like now they can go live with a fucking village.
It's almost as if he well, while there's family, the family comes first because family was there in the sentence first, but then once it's gone, well, now it's convenient. And it's just like, you have failed them every step of the way, Mr. Poe.
Right.
It's just the fucking worst. VFD, the big thing that the Quagmires were saying in the Ersatz elevator, I thought originally, like, they had solved it is the Village of Foul Devotees, because that's where they were going to be taken, because the kids kind of knew. But it is also fun that the foul is in, bird and avians, and but also foul is in, like, bad.
Bad. Yeah.
Very good, because these people are fucking nuts. If you get punished for a rule, they do a little funny haha on you. So you better not cut too many notes. Yeah, well, the rules are insane, and like in ways that don't make any sense, and I don't like them. But aphorisms, I gotta say, I was excited about this, and then I could not tell you what. Ooh, a pithy observation that contains a general truth, such as, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I will say, I am almost certain that that is just, like, sorry, I just, checked something. Thank you, guys. Because I can't get those alerts, like, they won't stop. Like, even though I hid the sources, I can still hear them. So in the middle of you talking, it's just going, Moxie going, wow, look at those, someone just needs those jorts. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how to make that go away, but that's fine for right now. Okay. I've realized that I picked this up most likely from this series where I just like say shit all the time. And I'm like, because I think it's fun. I like to apply it different ways. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. You never know what'll stick, so you just keep throwing it. And it's free. It's easy.
You hit me with one of them the other day.
Oh, I did?
We were talking. Yeah, where you were like, sometimes it's good to be the biggest fish in the pond because you're just there to feed the ducks. And I was like, I don't know what that means, Steve.
Oh, do you want to know what it means? It was more of just like, you don't have to, like, you have no stake in the game. So, like, fuck it, crush the bake sale because, like, you don't care. You didn't show up for that.
Based on what we were talking about, but...
Yeah. I figure it's a bit of work, so as soon as I sent it, I went, that made a lot more sense to me in my head because I thought it, so I got there, but, ooh.
I'm not always in your head, man.
No, but, like, I keep drilling holes. I know, well, like, we'll have to figure something out.
Sending me invites.
I have to, gosh, I'm actually really surprised. Invites into my head. What? I'm a little mad that the wiki doesn't have the list of rules. Because, like, I really thought it would.
Oh, does it not?
Mm-mm.
That's a shame.
It is a very big shame. I'm not going to go through and read all of them, but I did in my...
examples.
Yeah.
Highlights.
I wrote the page numbers down. It paid off, baby! Oh, man, I had my beautiful mind moment where I'm like, I don't want to take notes because, like, I feel like my notes are always, like, bad. Like, because self-critical, we all do it. And it's just, I'm like, well, what works for me? I'm like, I want to track stuff. Because then it's like, well, I'm not taking notes. I'm sleuthing, and it feels so much more fun.
You're doing detective work.
You understand. You absolutely get it. I'm looking for, when did I write down the first rule? Ooh, page 57 we get rule 60 something. Ooh. Uh, uh on page 57, the Council of Elders can tell people what to wear, how to talk, what to eat, and even what to build. Rule number 67, for instance, clearly states that no citizen is allowed to build or use any mechanical devices, which is insane. Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I think what's really funny is that did you end up in the summary or did you end up describing like the Council of Elders?
Not really.
Okay.
They're there. They run the town. I think that's all I said.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because like they are like the Council of Elders, like the youngest person of these massive like of this group of old people, I believe they say is 81. And they all wear a hat that looks like a raven. Or a crow. Crow.
Those are different birds, you stupid bitch.
I know. I'm
They make such a
sorry.
big deal out of that.
I know. I did like yeah. I realized it as soon as it left my lips that I'm like Raven was the wrong one. It was Crow.
That was the wrong one.
Raven's the wrong one. But the crows. And so like their rules are absolutely it's almost like the HOA personified if boomers ran your HOA.
Don't get me fucking started on the HOA.
Oh, that's just it. Maybe we should. Maybe we should get started on the HOA because no one's gonna fight him if we don't.
I moved houses recently with my family, and we moved into a neighborhood with like an actual HOA. Horseshit.
They make you do so much shit, or they prevent you. They limit you from what you can do to your own house, and the benefits are that like they won't fine you.
They gave us a list of like approved decoration we could have outside of our house, and it's like we've got certain time frames that we're allowed to decorate for holidays, like before and after a holiday, when we're allowed to have decorations outside our house.
That's ridiculous.
It's horse shit.
Like just do. I was on my morning walk this morning, and in a pure act of defiance, because I stand with you. I will walk past it tomorrow and take a picture and send it to you because I almost wanted to take a picture of it, but I needed to run. Like I was like, I gotta make my meeting. I walked past this house because I went a different way than I normally did, and this house had, I swear to God, like 50 wooden dressers, chairs, and shit just stacked in a giant pile in their yard.
Yeah.
Like a lot of stuff. Like not like, oh, they just are like throwing stuff out. Like, no, that stuff stays there. That stuff has stayed there.
Sitting.
And I'm like, how are their neighbors just fine with this? They're probably not. And I'm like, what's the drama
Probably
of
not.
the street? I want to know.
If you don't have a solid HOA, though, you'd have to like contact the city.
Yeah, I guess that's yeah. I guess you would. I mean, but also, I don't know. Like, it doesn't affect me. Like,
Also,
I don't live
it's not
there.
hurting anybody. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, like, I mean, bro, I live on my street. Like, I know where the property value's at. You know, like, you're good, bro. It's like, it's fine. We really need to. We call the crack house and say, hey, fire a couple shots off. You know, keep the rent low. Like,
Yep.
It's what you got to do. Fight gentrification however you can. Rule number 108 was on page 60. Rule 108 clearly states that the VFD library cannot contain any books that break any of the other rules. If someone in a book uses a mechanical device, for instance, that book is not allowed in the library. Which I believe is also why the library itself gets banned, because it contains books that will mention things that break rules.
Right.
Like they rule themselves into this, like they don't have anything, but then they also have like a mansion. Like there's a family that has a mansion in this town.
And it's like, well, what good's a mansion if you don't have any mechanical devices? You don't have a fridge. You've got like an old-fashioned stove.
And they're out in the middle of nowhere. It's like
they're in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Where are they getting ice? How are they getting ice cream? I think they're lying. Oh, it wouldn't count as a
I think the
mechanical
wealthy-
device. Maybe.
I think the wealthy get to break the rules.
Oh, if you're on the council. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. People look the other way.
Very possible. Oh, you know who looks the other way? Hector. Oh man, Hector. You bring up the point later. We'll talk about it then. Like, ooh, there was a brief moment where I got real mad. I think there was the only other rule that I actually cared to share that was like, actually there was quite a few of them. Rule number 19 on 138. Yeah, 138 has rule number 19. The only pens that are acceptable within city limits are ones made from feathers of crows. But Rule 39 says that it's illegal to make anything out of crow feathers. And an interesting statement is like, I think Klaus is like, how can the townspeople obey both rules at once? And Violet goes, maybe they don't have any pens at all. Which is like, that's a really weird roundabout way to like, someone got mad at a pen or something.
Right.
If you're at page 138, would you like to read Rule 2493? Because I think it's a
It
good
was
one.
not at page 38. What? 138?
138, yeah.
138. List rule what?
Mm-hmm.
24493. Is that what you want?
Yeah, I think this one's good. This is one of my favorite rules that they have.
Rule 2493 clearly states that any person who is going to be burned at the stake has the opportunity to make a speech right before the fire is lit.
It's perfect. It's such a nice little rule. Everyone gets one chance. Except Shock.
Except Shock, because Shock is murdered before he can be burned at the stake.
I can't believe they did that to our boy. I cannot believe it.
Mm-hmm. To my boy, Jacques Snicket.
The one and only. The true... And just knowing... Like, the implications of... Ooh, Rule 200... We will. You're right. 201 clearly says no murdering. That's good. And then I think...
Good rule.
17...
What's the rule with the peanuts?
The peanuts? I think I have that. Let me see. 178... I kept like running out of room and then flipping the paper over and then flipping back over, and it was not very organized. So I'm like, oh wait, no.
You're all over the place.
Yeah, always. Rule 141 clearly states all prisoners receive bread and water. That's not it. It's the backside. Rule number 961 and 114. Oh, I think we skipped it. I blew past it.
Oh, I found the rule about mouths and recreational activities. That's rule 4561.
Oh, I think I missed that one. I don't think I wrote that down in my notes. So thank you for
I'm
that.
glad I got it then.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm aware, the wiki doesn't have the list of rules. So, from the one page I looked at. So, it must not be there. Hey, we are going to have the only thing. Rule 920 states that no one may talk while on the platform. That's not it. Oh!
We're the only book club where you can get this rundown of the list of rules.
They are very fun. They added a new rule just for the Baudelaires when they showed up, which was Rule 19,833 states that clearly states that no villains are allowed within the city limits. So that's a good time as well.
To keep Count Olaf out. How considerate.
They're so sweet. Like, I'm so grateful that they just do their best. Yeah, 2,493. Oh, that was it. How funny. No. Well, it's 961 to 920. It's 114. I read that one. I want to find the nuts one because the nuts one was very good.
Nuts.
Don't they? It's on nuts. Oh wait, because Jacques there. Well, I think it comes up once they start talking about like burning at the stake, because the punishment for anything that people break is getting burned at the stake, which is quite the vibe. I wish they wouldn't do that.
I found it.
You did? Yeah.
No,
Oh.
I found it where they're talking about. That's why I warned you about the number of nuts on my hot fudge sundae. I'd be ashamed to light you on fire, but they don't.
So that would be back in chapter 4.
That was page 108 where they talk about hot fudge sundae.
That's right, but that's when they're in the meeting. Because rule number 2 states that anyone who breaks a rule is burned at the stake, and rule number
Okay,
1 is.
I did actually find it this time. Rule 961 clearly states that the Council of Elders hot fudge sundae cannot have more than 15 pieces of nuts each.
Not the most important rule.
Mm-hmm.
Can you get over the idea that like they would have burned these kids at the stake for putting too many nuts on their sundae?
We're putting 16 peanuts on their sundae.
I would live in a society.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was the fun one. Those were all the good rules. I think rule number 1 is like page 255, if I recall. Oh no, it's like you can't hurt crows. If you hurt a crow, you stuck butt.
Rule number 1 is you can't hurt crows because that's what Esme breaks, and they're like, "Everyone stop! We have to fucking murder Esme. She hurt a crow."
Yeah, you harmed a crow. Like when they were all like about to fucking like, they're all down for her to harpoon them, and then she hurts a crow. And it's like, hey, we're gonna burn you kids at the stake, so stay here after we get this crow fixed. Of the 1,010,000,000 crows. Absolutely insane. Page 145, Sunny says yikes, and I liked the Eddie Burback shout out. Thought it was prophetic.
He says yikes with an exclamation mark.
A little, ooh. And then Violet says okay at this part. So when they're in the prison, they're at the jail, and Hector, who is very well-meaning, very nice guy, is very skittish, which means that he never has the courage to say anything and speak up, which, like, I hated him in the book because it's like, can you quit being a baby? But I also could see myself in him, so I had to like humble myself a bit.
I have thoughts about Hector. We'll get to it.
Okay, I think we're just about done. I think the only thing is that he comes up to talk to them and he's like, hey, like, I was gonna speak up, but like I was too scared. And they're like, okay, whatever. And he's like, but like I've got a hot air balloon thing, like I'm gonna leave. So if you guys happen to escape, I'm your escape ride. And
right. And Violet just says, okay.
Yeah, she goes, okay, Violet said, although she had been hoping for something a little more helpful from a fully grown adult. We're trying to break out of this cell right now, so maybe we'll make
it. Yeah. It's so, these books are so funny in a way that's like hard to articulate, because it's like, that's hilarious that he's like, well, if you guys break out, I got you. And she's just like, fucking okay, man.
Like, I do appreciate that, but like, I can't even, we're in the middle of something. Like, we can't even get there, man. So if you can't help us, like, you say, I got something, what can I do? He didn't even ask, what could I do?
Right.
Which I think is like the big thing that the adults do. They just don't, although I did see chapter 9, and I got a little preview of our Detective Dupin. Do you his chest hair. The very end of the book.
He's high, yeah.
He's so hot. I'm ready. Like, that's in the discussion points for me. It's like I'm ready to talk about, because Olaf's whole plan, like his whole side plan, that like he has a whole secret thing that he's doing in the background, which I think is the most evil thing he's ever done, which is chef's kiss. But it was what was very fun for me with Sunny saying like me on page 255 at the end of the book is that I had been writing down everything she said, and every once in a while she says like the actual word, like she'll say stop, or she'll say like the word she's meaning, like that it's not some long thing, it's what it is.
Right. She's been doing that more and more throughout the book since like 5, I think, is when I first noticed it.
Oh, really?
Where it's like she says words that aren't just like nonsense or a reference to something, like in book 6, she says like Armani in a reference to like a tie or whatever. That's one I
Oh.
caught. But like she's been saying.
But yeah, I've been like saying like shit that she would say. Like I guess it's not necessarily, or she's saying stuff that she's choosing to say, and it's not necessarily the writer doing some like it's babble. You know, it's just babbling, but it's not.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
they you know, actually, I'm gonna elaborate on this because you brought this up as a discussion point. So I'll circle back to that.
Okay.
And the last fun thing is that the little free thing to get people hyped for the next book, Hostile Hospital, it's sent from on a telegram from Western Bunyan. I just thought that was funny. So that was all. Oh, 2 statues. But we'll get there. You ready to talk? Let's
Did you throw something? What was that crash?
Oh, I put this down on like the table and nope. Like I'm ready.
Very
So
aggressive.
I'm a little bit. Well, yeah, I've been.
So
Rather.
okay, me and my hot air balloon shit.
Mhm.
He describes it as a hot air mobile home, but he's also like, well, it wouldn't come down ever, and it's like hot air balloons cannot fly in the summer. They can't fly when it's too hot out. And he's like, the engine. He's like, I've been having trouble with engines, and hot air balloons don't have engines. They have like a pilot light basically to light a fire, but they most certainly do not have engines. Blimps, on the other hand, have engines and could feasibly stay in the air during hot weather longer than a hot air balloon. So I don't think so I think he's bullshitting here. It's not a hot air anything.
Oh, interesting. See, well, I think it's that he basically is like made a house, like a mobile home, literally.
Yeah.
And like the balloons, like originally I was thinking it was like up, where it's like a bunch of big helium balloons. But no, I think you're right. Like now I'm thinking about it, it would be hot air balloons. But like,
No, it would not be a hot air balloon.
but then he also has an engine. Yeah, no, I know, but I'm sorry, I'm using his words, like from what he's saying, like just to make sure I'm understanding like what he said correctly, even though it's wrong, because I'm hearing you on this. I'm like, that's what I thought it was the like, I'm like okay, but now the more and more I think about it, the more it doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Yeah.
And like I don't know how it actually like he didn't plan for it to come down. I don't. You.
I mean, it mentions a lot of the time in these books don't make any sense. Like Violet talks about how she would make like a flashlight out of like, I don't know, like peanut butter and like tinfoil. And it's like, okay, that doesn't make any goddamn sense. But also,
you don't have the ribbon.
Wrong. He's wrong about stuff that I know about.
It makes you. I mean, he's an adult. Can you really trust him though? Adults don't always know what they're talking about.
This book has taught me one fucking thing.
Poe sucks, and he's the worst.
Yeah.
But a blimp would be like, or like a. Is there what's the difference between a blimp and a zeppelin?
Blimps and Zeppelins are the same thing, basically. Zeppelin is like a brand, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess that would make a lot more.
Yeah.
Interesting. So wait, why would they come down in the summer though? Oh, because the air is hot.
Yeah, so hot air rises, cold air sinks. So if the air around you is cold, and the balloon is hot, the hot air in the balloon will pick you up, basically.
That would explain why I never see him in the summer.
Yeah, you have to be very picky. Like they can only fly during certain times of year.
Because like my old apartment, where I used to live, they like a lot of like one of the companies that does hot air balloons would like launch not far from my apartment. So it would like I've seen people where I'm like I can like see what you're wearing in the basket. Like I could read your shirt. That's how close they are to me, which is very wild in an apartment. But it was you know, it's like very fun to see them all go up and do all of that and have a good little time. But I could just
Yeah.
I never.
They can be many shapes and colors.
I never noticed about the summer. Like I assumed they didn't do it in the summer because well, it's really hot here and you'll get sunburn.
No, it's about the air.
Like they don't work in this. Like they just don't work. It is too hot. for them to go anywhere. So okay, I guess I could just have all these up.
Okay, well,
Yeah, I
it would
know.
help to be on the slide that we're talking about.
I also agree. I don't know what I did there. There
Okay. So this is the first time that we get mention of the volunteer fire department, baby. And I'm very excited to talk about it.
we go. Yeah. Okay.
So Jacques is pulled to the top of the stand and he's like, I'm not Count Olaf. I have this tattoo of an eye on my ankle. For my job, I'm a volunteer. And then he gets cut off. We, as in people who finish the books, know that he's referring to a volunteer firefighter. The children don't know yet.
Unless
Unless.
That's a very fun.
Mhm.
That is what it is, right? It is volunteer fire department
Yes.
ultimately, which like what they actually
I'm
do.
80% sure.
But like I also don't know if they fight actual fires or metaphorical fires because I think the book is not even sure half the time. It depends.
I think it's like metaphorical fire, but like clearly fire plays a very big role in this story. The orphan's house was burnt down. Count Olaf is an arsonist. Like,
Who was the closest living relative and the most convenient? How curious.
so I think it can be both.
Okay.
And later on, like the Quagmire triplets mentioned that Olaf took this opportunity to get rid of an old enemy as well as steal the Baudelaire fortune, which it's implied that Jacques is an old enemy and therefore working against Count Olaf, even though they have the same tattoo.
Yes. The very same tattoo that means you won't. I the energy of like we caught Count Olaf and all the characteristics match up. It was so much of like there's no way. There can't be. How could like
Right.
did they really like did Count Olaf get caught on purpose? Because like that's a big brain move that I would not have expected. But
That would be more believable than this village of fuck ups catching him on purpose.
yeah. Yeah, it would. It really would. I think in a way it's the Quagmire's fault. I think the Quagmires like caused Jacques to die.
I don't think so. No. Why?
Okay, you ready? Yeah. So this I just thought of this. So at the end of Ursat's elevator, when the Quagmires are getting like tossed into the car, they start shouting. They shout like VFD.
That's at the end of Austere Academy, first of all.
Oh, Sir Academy. My bad.
First of all. They don't say shit in the end of Erstad's elevator. They're in a fish.
Okay, so at the end of Austere Academy, the last time the Baudelaires hear shit from them is them saying VFD. But I believe that either his associates, the two women, and or himself would have heard the kids say that. And so
Yeah, probably the pale-faced women. I would believe that.
oh, that's right. Ooh, I didn't remember what the name was. So good, good on you. I didn't remember it was the pig. Yeah, that's good trivia. Could you name all the members of the troop? Like all
Yes.
the descriptions? Do it.
Yes.
I want to know.
Okay. There's the bald man with the long nose. There's the man with the hook hand. There's the person who is androgynous. There's the two pale-faced women. There's Esme Squalor. That's everybody.
Oh.
Dare I say that's every pony? Yeah.
Every pony. That is the Horse and Pony show of a troop.
Yeah.
They're just part of me would love a follow-up series that is from Count Olaf's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I would love it. I want to know. I would just be degenerate, and I'm here for it.
I would like that only because it would give us more insight to like VFD and stuff.
Ooh, no. I don't know why you never did that. Or maybe he did. I know there's like unauthorized biography or some. There's some like extra stuff, but I never read any of it, so I don't
I
think
haven't
it
read
goes
either.
into it. But we can write our own. It's fan fiction.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, no, I think that because they mentioned VFD, the kids are now thinking about VFD, and obviously the whole red herring and all of that. The Olaf, like, I think that Olaf then had VFD as the box of doilies, and him and Esme did as a test to see if the like Baudelaire orphans actually knew it, and then because that he knew they would fall for it hook, line, and sinker, knew that like I can use that against them and then probably was able to figure out that they were going to go to VFD at that point because they can never take care of any of the other things he's doing. Whatever, like one thing leads to another. He just shows up. They suddenly installed this new fountain. They do all this stuff. It's like set it up there, and it just so happens that VFD is a village where they'll burn you at the stake for breaking a rule. And what better way to? I have no idea how he would have got Jacques and like part of me's like what I want to know what Jacques did because or like did in the
Right.
VFD because well, he doesn't have they don't have any combat skills. It doesn't seem like no one's really a fighter, so it seems more like Cold War kind of esque like pseudo
It's
spy
implied that they're, like,
shenanigans.
adventurers and like very brave, but like I think you're right. Like no one's been shown to like know kickboxing or whatever.
Like it's just like a rich people club, maybe. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I know we get more information like with Kit and
We'll
stuff.
discuss later in the books, yeah.
But which I guess that leads into Rip Jock and Detective Dupin. It's just
Yep.
Detective Dupin, a great name, 10 out of 10 name.
That way on purpose?
I believe so.
It's not the way it's pronounced.
It's not
It's pronounced Dupin. It's French.
really. How do you know? Wait,
Yeah.
is it? Oh,
Yes.
I didn't know
It's
that.
another fucking Edgar Allan Poe reference, I think.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
Let me
good.
check.
Like I fell for the obvious. I fell for the obvious. Detective Dupin. He's Dupin people. So goofy with his little fucking hairy chest and his mirrored
Dupin
pants.
people?
Yeah, like that's what I thought it meant. Like duping because he's duping you. Like he's duping the whole town into thinking he's. It's not cool to question detectives.
Yeah. Detective Dupin is a reference to the Edgar Allan Poe character. C. Augustine Dupin.
Oh, I haven't read a whole lot of Edgar Allan Poe, so my references. I look like I haven't.
'Cause you're a loser.
I am.
You're a loser.
No, but that's not fair. In ninth grade, I read the Cask of Amontillado, and I read the one with Telltale Heart, or no, the one with the scythe in the stomach.
Okay.
That counts. That counts. It has to. It's not enough Poe.
Mm-hmm. The Mask of the Red Death. Telltale
Uh,
Heart. The Fall of the House of Usher.
Oh,
You fucking loser.
a little bit,
I
yeah.
mean today.
That's okay. You could. I mean, yeah. I
Yeah,
just.
you like it. I.
I'm gonna grab a drink.
Anyway.
I'm gonna be right back. We can talk about the next one.
Is it my stream now? Hi, chat. Come back. We have to talk about our points.
Sorry.
Okay. I guess it's just me now. Whoa. Whoa, every pony in chat. How are we enjoying stream so far? Do you have any questions so far for just me, I guess?
I had to get my mobile. I wore my Camelback after I got back from my walk today because I finally got one while it's overcast, so it didn't need the water as much. But then I'm like walking around doing work today, trying to like get everything done and squared away. and I'm just like, ooh, I'm a little thirsty. It's right here. I don't have to pick anything up. I don't have to unscrew. And I'm like, I'm gonna wear a Camelback all the time. And I can always be hydrated like a fucking dweeb. And I'm ready.
Hydration's important.
But I don't want to have to get up for any other reason, so I got everything I need here. That's why it took me an extra second.
Okay.
But I know
So-
Jimmy had a question, but we can get to them.
Oh,
Mm.
do you enjoy reading Edgar Allan Poe works? I'm a huge fan of like Gothic literature, so I think Poe is pretty neat. I would not say he's my favorite Gothic author because I'm not a loser. I've read books. Okay.
Yeah, you book reader, bold,
Mhm.
brash.
I've read
Icon-
Twilight. Yeah.
Yeah. You've read it once or twice,
Oh.
which
Anyways,
you did inspire me.
I've read.
This book is good. I need to buy the book tabs at the store tomorrow. The little like purple, the multicolored tabs for stuff because I'm like, that's gonna be
I
real
get
good for
mine.
this.
At the dollar store.
At the dollar store.
At the dollar store, so I don't spend like $5 on a tab of sticky notes.
That's really smart. There is a dollar store right next to the store I go to, so I will go there, which I never do. Thank you,
Excellent.
John K.
I get a lot Yeah, I get a lot of cosplay stuff from the dollar store too.
I gotta get belt horns. I gotta make sure I get those. Okay.
Anyways.
So you would put that like
This is easily the most impressive plan on the part of the orphans. So what the orphans do to break out of jail is they take the wall is like made of clay and brick. So they take the pitcher of water they have and they run it down the wall and they soak the water back up with the bread so that it can be used multiple times. Excuse me, and they corrode the wall until they can bust through it with like the bench used as a battering ram. And I think that's so fucking smart and so like impressive and like very realistic. Because I feel like sometimes it's like, well, what are the chances that the orphans had like exactly what they needed to make a lockpick or whatever? But like this is very realistic that they would give prisoners bread and water and that they could use that to their advantage, and it was very impressive.
It was. You almost could say it was a superlative display of their intellect.
Yeah, dare I say it?
Majestic, even if you didn't know what superlative meant. Because don't worry, you'll know in this book.
Don't worry. By the end of this book, you'll know. You'll know a lot of words.
I wanna also mention the crow patterns, but I'll do that later because the crow patterns were really cool as well. But
Okay.
what I really enjoyed, or not enjoyed, I shouldn't say that. Scrap that. You like the way that you just described that. Stream went down.
Stream paused, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Why is it down?
Okay.
For no
I
reason.
hope that doesn't fuck with the recording.
Because like technically I'm still streaming. It's just disconnected. Like
Okay.
and like I'm still recording. I can pause the recording or I can stop the recording and have this half. Like I'm gonna have to splice it together anyway. So, but it looks like we're back. So, hello everybody. Thank you.
Are we?
Or I guess like I'm back. Y'all should see it here in a second. I believe.
Hold on. There we go. Can I play stream, please? This one's live. Hello.
Hello. Hey, Katie.
Hello.
How are you?
Okay.
Oh yeah. So you got me like so. I never thought about how unrealistic their plans have been up to this point. Like how it is very like, of course they have the exact things that like she just so happens to know. Which it's more so to show that she's super creative in particular with her, but it's like, and in a lot of ways, it's like I think that the secret Chekhov's gun in this book. It starts with them having to get on the bus by themselves and walk all the way to VFD alone. Is that if they're going to search for VFD, they have to go alone. It happens at the beginning of the book, and it's exactly how the book ends.
Right. Very circular. It rhymes.
Yeah, it goes right in that little fucking just little like, ooh, we're back where we started, but like it's the JoJo palette swap, where it's like there's a realization where now it's like everything's a little bit different. You have to reframe it.
Like JoJo's.
In a lot of ways, Count Olaf is like Dio. And I'll get a presentation maybe one day.
Okay.
About it. But I will say, I think that the super creative use of the battering ram in particular, I didn't think of. Or like, it was like, oh shit, can they actually do it? And in particular, the part that I thought was really creative was when they're in the middle of doing it, like they stop for a second, and Violet's like, should we like take a second and like or one of the kids is like, should we stop and like reassess, because like I don't know, like if we like see how much progress we're making, kind of get a good gauge if we need to change it. And I think Violet's the one that's just like, we don't have time. You want to know how to make it work? We like either it's gonna work or it doesn't.
Right. I think you're right. I think it's like Klaus who's like, do we need to stop and look at this from a different angle? Try something else. And Violet's like, nope, we don't have time. We have to brute force this. And if it doesn't work, we're... And she's right. If it doesn't work, they're fucked.
I think it's the moment where the kids realize like, it's the moment that they start being like, they stop overthinking and they just start doing. And like, I personally have like I related a lot to it. I like took it where I'm like, yeah, it's been a theme throughout where like in Ursat's elevator where it's like, if we wait until we're ready, we're gonna be here till we die, so like let's go. Yahoo. And in the very same way, it's like, no, we're just gonna keep going. And I will say, at least this time, it wasn't necessarily doubt like that they weren't doing a good job, but rather like, oh hey, do we want to stop and assess? And it's like, we're getting something, let's just like, we don't need to stop and improve it, like we just need to go. Like if the amount of time it takes for us to stop, like that's the exact amount of time they needed. And I think, albeit contrivedly, they had just the amount of time that if they had stopped, they would not have been like, they would have been burned alive.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, yeah.
And I don't know if there's deeper meaning to that, but it is hard sometimes where I'm like, yeah, that's what happened. I don't like, it's tough. I don't want to keep saying it over and over, but it's really cool.
Take what you need from that kind of moment in a book.
Yeah, like I feel like we're right there with them, especially with how action paced. This reminded me a lot of Wide Window in
I agree.
The time, which I know it's not on my list, or not on our list, I should say, but the timing of things. Have you ever noticed that it was the worst for me in this in this book where the kids are walking with Hector to Hector's house to go live with them, and they get like, they're more or less like outside the house, and he hands them the little scroll that he found with the first couplet, and the kids like say that like they grab it, and like they're all just standing there quietly for a few minutes, and then like Hector's like, okay, well, I'll go inside. And I'm like, did Hector sit there for 3 minutes, like just standing there outside the house while these kids like didn't know what to say, like for 3 minutes? That's a long time.
That's a long time.
And I always think it's funny because I think like as a kid you don't think anything of it. You're just like, oh yeah, whatever. But
no concept of time. You don't know how long 3 minutes is.
Oh, God, until you do, and then you're like, yeah, exactly. I don't think people know how long 3 minutes really can be, and maybe they should stop complaining. Just saying. Just saying.
Have you maybe had this conversation before, Odie? Has someone told you that 3 minutes isn't really that long, and then you had to disagree with them?
No.
No? Okay.
I have a good understanding of time.
Okay.
No, I didn't disagree. If that's... but no.
You can always You always make the most out of your time. Is that right?
Well, yeah. Look, it doesn't matter how long everyone's having fun for, as long as everyone's having fun.
Okay.
I could rephrase
Sounds
that
like
better.
some- Yeah. Sounds like something someone would say if they couldn't have fun for very long. Just saying.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, the orphans are finally on their own for good.
Yeah, it's great. I love that for them.
Yep.
Uh-huh. I hope they last longer than 3 minutes alone on their own, because that'd be tough. They'd be tight with the string, you know? Because like it'd be crazy. They wouldn't even have to rest. No, he didn't. It's a good bit though.
I know. It's just funny.
It's me and my brain going, we're bitten around. Like, don't start going into like a real analytical answer of like, well, I mean, like if you actually want to break down into it. Because, like, no. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. To myself. This is all in my head. I'm like,
Okay.
this is good. But I didn't think of the good bit yet. Damn it. Oh. You just, I don't know, man. I can't. You fucking spiked it into me. And I just gotta take the loss, you know? I gotta take the L. And it just sucks because I don't know what to do.
Well, to be fair, I have a lot of practice spiking. I used to play volleyball.
That's true. I heard that, like, hockey was, like, written about you, right? Like, you were the
Yeah.
inspiration for the main character?
No. The main character is short.
Well, no, just your volleyball skills. That was it.
Oh.
Well, your favorite character is the one that they, like, the one that you say, that's me, for real, that's the one they modeled after you, I'm sure. Or you were the inspiration.
That makes... Oh, wow. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Every time I do that, I just spray myself.
How's
They
it going
are
for you?
wet, and I feel like a silly. It's
Wow.
very cold, because the whole bag was in my fridge.
Wet and cold. That's how I like them, you know?
Wet. Cold and wet. Okay. Oh. Yeah. I love that's my favorite
Like a
stand.
fish. Like a dead fish. Yeah.
3 minutes, baby. 3 minutes. Dead fish. Let's go. They are on their own, and I have no idea. I know ultimately that they go to the hospital and
Right.
in the next area, but the line that I had mentioned, or did you have some, what were you gonna say?
Oh, no, it just feels like it feels like a much longer journey than I feel like it actually will be to get from the end of Vile Village to the start of Hostile Hospital. You know what I mean? Like there's so much they have to, like growing they have to do to get there.
Oh yeah. There's like they're about to do a long walk on a very empty field plane of reflection. It will be. I'm very curious. I don't remember. Do you remember if Hostile Hospital starts after a bit of a time skip, or does it follow directly after this book?
Directly after this book, if not a very short time skip, because I know it starts with them at the Last Chance convenience store.
So they must have They must have stumbled upon it then.
Right. So maybe like a couple of hours. But like
Yeah.
there's not like there's an ambiguous amount of time between the end of this book and the end of the last book. I don't think we get that again in the series, quite honestly.
Because they're on their own.
It's just yeah.
Yeah, because I guess it would be like, well, like did the kids get out of like the squalor's apartment and then the next day they were here? I don't think so. I think they do like some interim at the pose. You know, that's how they get their clothes. Because they always have clothes, even if they don't end up like, I'm sure Mr. Poe is just like, God, I gotta expense all these fucking clothes that my wife makes so that I can cook the books.
Do you,
And
yeah. Do
make
you
my
think Poe has like a little embezzlement going on the side?
Oh, 100%. Oh, and like that's what I'm saying. Where like with him and Olaf, like he realized that he could get the embezzlement side of like. I feel like one, it feels really weird that like I know it's like if you're like a trust fund kid, it's like you have a trust fund, like you can't access it till a certain age, but like you know they like the fortune was left to them and like they have full control over it at 18. Is I believe like it's theirs. Right. But I would like to say that it is one of those things where like technically since they like aren't 18, like the bank is like, it's like you can go through them because they have the power of attorney. Like Mr. Poe can determine what they can spend money on. Which,
Right.
have you noticed that he never told them they could?
Well, yeah. I think he does at one point. I think he uses the Baudelaire fortune to pay for like when they have to give Nero the bags of candy and like Carmelita Spats the tip. I think it's implied that he takes that money out of the Baudelaire fortune. But
Can you imagine charging these kids $23 of their own fortune for candy in it too? Like, he has to be embezzling. He has to be. Like that's what's paying for the kids' clothes or what or whatever.
my conspiracy board. He's embezzling.
He has to, like, it's the only thing that makes sense. He's got to be cutting something off the side. He keeps getting promoted. Like suddenly he has to go run around in a helicopter looking for orphans that were never missing.
Who expends that fucking elevator or the helicopter? God.
I think the Baudelaires paid
We're on
for it.
something here.
Well,
Yep.
oh my God, Kale. It's because
What?
the kids wanted Poe. They're like, we need to find the Quagmire kids. Like they were taken, and so he's like, fine, like we'll do it. Like that's that's what you guys want, and he gets to go ride around in a helicopter. How fun!
Have fun.
Yeah,
Fuck Mr. Poe.
fuck Mr. Poe, man. I hate him, but fuck that guy, Hector.
Let's talk about Hector. I feel at the end of the book quite positively towards Hector because he's done what the police and Mr. Poe and every other fucking guardian has failed to do and saved some goddamn orphans. He at the very least has managed to take the Quagmire triplets out of harm's way. And I feel like that's incredible. And yes, he's skittish. Yes, he's incapable of like helping the Baudelaire orphans, but he still remains kind. He believes them, which is another thing that we don't see often. He fucking builds a mobile home and he rescues some children, which I feel like is a big thing. So, those are my Hector thoughts.
Well, I agree with all of your Hector thoughts, and that they kind of like they got me thinking about him more, and I realized I felt like Hector was shitty, which is kind of like with the you get the vibe from the kids that they're like getting real tired of this skittishness, like why don't you speak up? But I think the reason that I was I respect Hector at the end even more, especially after like you going into it, is he's the only adult who follows through on everything he says he will do. He never makes yeah, he goes, I'm super skittish and I won't talk to them. Like they make me super uncomfortable. And it's like that really fucking sucks, but like you did tell us that. Like I'm disappointed that you wouldn't like that we're not worth doing it, but I understand because that you like you were honest.
He never gives them false hope either. He never I feel like that's something like Aunt Josephine did in book 3. But like he never says something and then goes back on his word. He all of his cards are on the table from the moment that those kids meet him.
I mean, everything else is just small potatoes at that point. And he also is like the perfect guardian. Like he's another. I mean, he's not perfect, obviously, but I think he's the most realistic guardian. Where like because he didn't throw everything away, and they, he like Hector is a citizen, but it feels like he's not this. He just doesn't exercise his right, but it seems like because he's got a level head, which is hey, I'm not a dumb fucking moron, but I also can't get out. I can't leave, and I don't want to get burned at the stake. So I just like indentured servitude. But it explains why he builds a machine that never comes back down.
Next to like Uncle Monty, Hector is one of the better guardians the kids have had.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I'd say
top 3 at the very least.
Ooh, I was gonna say top 3, and I thought, ooh, maybe top 5 just to be like more like safe because I don't. But there's no more Guardians.
Yeah, there's no more Guardians after this, and they've had some pretty shitty Guardians up to this point. If we want to like include like the school and like Lucky Smells Lumber Mill.
Which yeah, I would count them. I would count them absolutely. Like I think it's like Monty and then Hector and then Josephine. Maybe.
Maybe. I think if we want to count Jerome and Esme as like separate entities, Jerome might shoot up the ranks, be 3rd, Josephine 4th, then like I don't know, Nero. Nero was just annoying, not outright malicious.
Well,
and then maybe
like,
Sir Esme Olaf.
Yeah, I think Esme has to be. Well, I think you'd have to do. Well, do you? I don't know. Should Esme be on top of Olaf, or should Olaf be 7th and then be 8th?
I don't know. Esme looks like a top to me, so I feel like, yeah.
A little bit of the hot chief of police vibe with the helmet and the lipstick. I'm like, oh, this bitch.
That sexy little get up, yeah. Ooh, she knew what she was doing. I don't know, because to me it feels like if Olaf hadn't reached out to Esme and been like, let's fuck with these kids, she would have been better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like she was bad, but like, well, yeah. How do you feel?
Olaf's influence makes her downright evil. I think she would have been just bad and kind of greedy otherwise.
Like, I mean, I guess like in the beginning of her Sats elevator, like the orphans are in. It's very much of like their ornaments, their trinkets to her.
Right. But she still doesn't physically abuse them when they're in her care, besides like throwing them down an elevator shaft, which is like after the reveal, so like whatever. Which is more than what Olaf does.
So. Yeah. Like, well, I agree. Because like I argue that like Jerome is the real guardian in that like thing where it's like, well, hey, like orphans are in, so like it just so happens to work out, but he's like, I'm like, no, but for real, I want to do the best I can for them.
Yeah.
But in a very, I'm not going to help with problems.
Take care of them. Yeah. He doesn't want to argue.
Which is why he hasn't been able to take care of them for 5 books. And then not much longer after that. But oh, wait, also, I think it's funny that you wrote, I hope he doesn't let me down, because he can't. It doesn't go down. It'll be
Can't
up.
come down, yeah.
Only up. And his whole plan is, I think, also really funny if you think about it in like the trope, the concept trope part of it, like kind of removing the book from it, where he hates all these rules, so he just wants to go live in the clouds, go live in a perfect world where he never has to come back. And it's like, that's not realistic, man. Like,
right.
Even the kids are like, this is really early in our life to make the decision to never come back down.
Right.
But, you know, say Laffy, I guess. You know, it's not much you can do. And I don't know if the kids would have, like, they fucking made it. They made it all the way there. And, like, they didn't even... They're
climbing. Yeah, they're so close.
They're climbing, like, the cover. I was just realizing, like, is the final scene. I didn't catch that. Like, them trying to climb onto the thing. It makes a lot more sense now.
Mm-hmm.
Sunny's so good in this one, too. She says, I'm trying to think if there was anything else I had. It is really nice to see in a little bit of that, like, VFD, with this book being the kind of, like, beginning of the second act of the series of the you know, there's this is the you know, BCE CE, you know, AD BC kind of shit. Like,
this is the birth of Christ. Yeah,
this is the birth of Christ. And it's Dupont, We're duping.
Katie, I'm fine. I am a bit tired, but I'm chilling.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Thank
don't
you
know what
for
else.
asking. It's very
Yeah.
sweet. All right, talk about Beatrice and Lemony. This
Okay.
is your point.
My Beatrice and Emily. So there's a point that comes up where they are talking about some shit, blah blah blah, and he's like, it's what I want, something I could have had, and then it was too late, what have you. And I had this thought. I had a little question that I wrote down. Is Lemony the orphan's actual biological father?
Um, I don't know.
Because it'd be a very interesting way to read the way that he talks about her. Like, it's
Right.
not that she didn't choose him.
Right. I don't know. I feel like it's implied that Beatrice and Mr. Baudelaire are like very much in love, but
Hmm.
I don't know, maybe. I
Interesting.
was also thinking about like kind of a more like in-universe way of looking at these books. Like imagine hearing about the Baudelaire children, and from like the Daily Punctilio maybe that like they murdered Count Olaf, and that's all you know. And then this like 13 book biography comes out about them, and it's like you don't understand shit about the Baudelaire children, and it's like just this huge long story about how they were framed for the murder of Count Olaf, but like really it's about other shit that's going on. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that'd be so interesting.
Like it would be like mind blowing to try to follow it. Oh, absolutely. Netflix would destroy the shit out of this. Like,
Oh my god.
to catch a killer, to
This would be
catch a
all
killer.
anyone talked about. Yeah.
Which, like, why aren't people talking about a series of unfortunate events on Netflix? Huh? Where's that?
Well, because it came out like 2 years ago, didn't it?
Yeah, it came out a while ago.
It came out forever ago, man. They were talking about it when it came out.
Well, I wasn't talking about it then. I mean, I guess I was talking about it then, but
Yeah.
I'm still talking about
But
it.
we need a book club now.
Yeah, damn it. Why can't time associate itself for me? Or, sorry, reintegrate itself for me? That's all I want. It just, that's to think about it in person, it made me also think, like, how does he know what they said?
Yeah. Where it's like, sure, you could probably get some accounts that like the Baudelaires were there and they were living with Hector. And maybe you could even like figure out this stuff with the couplets or whatever. But like you can't know what a conversation looked like unless he is like interviewing the orphans like years later and they're like, well, this is what we said.
I think that was my kind of like thought while I was reading these. Is I'm like, I wonder if, like, in a way, like as a kid you wouldn't pick up on that, but like as an adult you can, where it's like he's probably breaking down, like, obviously it's a book, it's a story, so like
It's a fictional story first and foremost. Yeah.
It's a very meta fictional story.
Yeah.
It's a book about itself, which is weird. I call it a bibliography, or autobibliography, but it basically is like, well, the kids are going to survive, which is like, well, that's good,
Yeah.
but is it? Like,
Is it?
because
Yeah.
there's 6 more books to go through before we get to be done with their story.
And like again, like it's so wild that the first book opens and he's like, this book starts with the death of the death of 2 parents, and it gets worse from there, and it absolutely has just gotten worse and worse and worse from there.
Every single step of the way, and showcasing. Like, I gotta dive like after we're done. Like, I want to try to figure out why he wrote these books. Like, what was like diving into interview. Like, I've never seen any interviews or anything. Like, I didn't know the guy's real name until we started the book club, and I think I was like in a video where I was like, oh, there's his name, huh? Who would have thunk? Because I don't know what else. Like, it just is. He sucks ass, and he doesn't tell me all the secrets that I want to know right away. He makes me figure it out.
Spill out the secrets. Yeah.
No, you know what he does? He has Duncan almost say the secret, and then gets cut off.
I'm so sick of Duncan shit. All right, let's go to orphan ranking so I can put Duncan at number 5.
As you fucking should. So
Number 5, Duncan.
absolutely, full stop agree.
Mm-hmm.
We'll say Duncan also just like doesn't do anything.
Right.
Like
he's trapped for most of the book. So
yeah, he because it isn't like this is Isadora's book in terms of the Quagmires like really popping up, and I think Austere Academy was more so Duncan's.
maybe, yeah, probably.
It felt like because like the couplets were, I mean, like they were both just really helpful, but I don't think like the Quagmires. I don't remember them. Were they the linchpin in Urstat's elevator? I don't think so. I think it was a reverse of like you guys were there to try to save us, or we're trying to save you because you're our friends. So.
I think that's it. Yeah. They didn't like hint anything to the Baudelaire orphans and Urstats.
Okay. So I'm thinking, like, my brain was like, well, let's go like 4, 3, 2, 1, but maybe it might be better to like go over what each orphan does, and then we kind of can circle back to it.
I'm gonna ignore what you said and just kind of work my way through the list.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I think Violet is gonna be my number 1 for her ingenious solution with the bread and the water and breaking out of prison. I think Klaus is gonna be my number 2 because he figured out the couplets and where the Did he? Am I making that up?
They figure it out. Yeah, he does because he finally puts together initials. He dismissed it as like the VFD initials,
Yeah.
but they went back around to
Klaus
it.
is gonna be my number 2. Then, controversial I know, Isadora number 3 for writing such beautiful couplets. Sunny number 4, Duncan number 5.
Sunny number 4.
Number 4. It's not on her. You know what I mean? She did good work this book. The fact that she took her first steps, very iconic. It's just that we got such strong performances all around the board, except from Duncan. That she had really fierce competition, you know?
Okay, yeah, I see that. I mean, Duncan's there. He's part of it. He's involved.
He's alive.
His shirt is wet.
Yep.
That's about it. It's all he does. There we go. Okay. Well, that makes perfect sense. I don't know why my dumbass thought, well, since we started with Duncan at number 5, we have to go 4 up. I feel goofy. I think I agree with you on your list.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think in particular with Klaus, if it, like, I think I'd put Isadora above Klaus. Because, like, given these circumstances, it was super fucking creative. And it just, like, my only thing is, like, could they only touch one? Like, she couldn't have just written 4 couplets. And
one.
Yeah, like, you know what? Now that I think about it, I'm going to keep her at number 3. Because she should have done that. And it felt silly that she could only do it once a day. Like, that didn't make sense to me. Like, the birds are all hanging out there anyway. Unless, was it something that, like, or was it because the fountain turns on at a certain point, so, like, they can only do it?
No. It was something like she didn't... I don't know.
Yeah, kid shit. Like, they're kids. They just figured, well, it was so tough to do, they did it the once. It's like, okay.
Yep.
All their strength. Which, if they're... So, this picture here is real fun, because it is the fountain that the kids are in.
Yeah.
And... like,
well, that's why I picked it, because they're all together.
That's good. Fuck, I didn't catch that before. God damn it. Oh.
Hey, I got bits.
It's like, so they're soaking wet because they come out of the beak, but like, were they soaking wet in it, or is it like, because I guess it's not filled with water.
It can't be filled with
It has
water,
to be like a hose.
Jesus Christ, you can't. That's torturous to live in just being constantly soaked. I'm choosing to believe, from my own peace of mind, that they got soaked coming out and they were able to wet the couplets to stick to the crow's like legs, but otherwise they remained dry
Oh.
and just in the statue. I'm choosing to believe that.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes a lot more sense. I really did think it was like heavy rain where I'm like, are these kids like after like they're spending all their energy staying above the baseline of water, and I just didn't think about like most fountains use like a rubber. There's like a rubber inline hose to
Yeah.
because it's made of marble, it's not hollow. Except this one. This one happens to be, which is why they never assume that it's hollow. Because like, why would it be? But it's so fascinating. I also couldn't get a read because it's like a village with no mechanical devices, but then it seems also like it's very like affluent at the same time for being in the middle of nowhere, which is just
Right.
whatever. It
It's a
doesn't make
weird,
any sense.
like, unreality. It's very like Welcome to Night Vale vibes, where
That's
it's
it.
like two things that can't be true at the same time are true at the same time. It's very
Yeah,
that.
cognitive dissonance, embodied, all that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And yeah, I think that's it. So
Yep.
now it's chat questions.
Do
I
you
have
questions? Do you have thought? Do you just want to speak?
a little bit. Yeah, I appreciate you guys being here and having a good time. I'm able to like go back and scroll through the last like hour or so's stuff. So I'm like trying to see if there's any questions that we didn't hit when we saw it. I think Jemmy had asked like, "What if a crow hurts a crow?"
I feel like that's fine. It's the crows are not citizens, so they don't have to follow the rules.
That's right. That's right. They're there to devote themselves to the crows.
Because guess what, baby? The crows are breaking rule number 2 all the time. They're forming murders all night long.
That is a good point. These are really. Oh, god damn it, dude! All of the like, there's so many good like. I don't want to keep saying double entendre because it's like I feel annoying, but I'm like, there's just so many good like double triple meaning stuff that he throws in there that like you just keep getting more and more out of.
You get a lot out of these books on like a reread, which I'm a little surprised about.
Yeah, like it feels like it almost feels like a different book, and maybe that's because like we are like I already knew like the big mystery was solved for me the
Yeah.
moment that I opened the book. I'm like, I know where they're at. This is but then no, like as a kid I never once thought to reread the book because I just read the next one. I want to know what happens, but it's like
I want to know what happens. I don't want to know what I missed.
and it's like no, it's much fucking sadder if you're like, oh yeah, they knew because you guys were talking and you couldn't hear them.
Yeah. And I don't know. Yeah, new things keep making me sad
All the time.
all the time.
Just I don't want to be, but oh well. In like, I think that's like is the stuff that's making you sad also not necessarily like it's the like real world applications and like the kind of like seeing
Yeah.
where it's gonna go or like God yeah
And it's like things that I related to as a kid where it's like my parents not being home and I have to like kind of like fend for myself and my brother a little bit where it's like I should not be relating to these fucking books. You know what I mean? Like no, that's not something that every kid goes through and like understands. And so it's yeah, it hits different, dare I say it.
it really I agree it like part of me was like I don't know why people never like why did people know like none of the kids I knew ever like cared to read these books like people were like yeah that just was like weird and I'm like what do you mean it's so good
Mhm.
and now
Yeah.
I'm like did he just write a series for like kids who just needed a little like needed an adult to understand. So he's like,
Yeah.
instead of just talking to you because I can't, I'm gonna give you something fun. Because like, I think it works. Like I think it's really good. Um, what if a crow puts too many peanuts? No, crows can't commit crimes. They should be able to because they're smart. But
Right.
hmm.
A crow can commit a crime anytime it wants. It will not be punished under the laws of VFD. However.
Yeah. Yeah, per the laws, maybe. Like, well, yeah, because you can't. Rule number one, you can't hurt the crows.
Number one, you can't hurt a crow. You want to burn a crow at the stake? You're gonna get burned at the stake. Guess what, bitch?
And they haven't had a stake burning in a while. Like, they haven't burned anybody in a while. So, like,
So they're all pretty excited to burn somebody.
I will say the biggest villain in this book, though, of everybody, more than Mr. Poe, is that fucking bitch. Whatever her name is. I can't. Miss Morrow.
Miss Marvel, the bitch who was mean to the kids.
Yeah, the grumpy neighbor, the nosy neighbor who has her nose in everyone's fucking business, and like her first thing is like, I'm not gonna go set the record straight. I'm gonna go call and tell the newspaper right now. Maybe they'll put my name in it. And it's just like, yeah, you know what? Fuck it.
Yeah.
Fuck her. And she was like, and the hedges weren't even trimmed that good. Hector trimmed the hedges. They just picked up the clippings.
Yeah. She just wanted something to complain about.
Because they were perfect when they described how he cut them, that they were like super fucking perfect. Exactly. They never wanted to. And when they said, oh, it takes a village to raise a child, the only village that raised that child was Hector.
Yeah. Hector's a trooper, man.
He's fucking just God tier. He's what he says. I think he's the most authentic guardian person that they've had.
And he's like empathetic to the children. And it's such a goddamn shame that we get one really good like guardian before they're just on their own.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, it's the moment outside the jail cell where she realizes that he can't help and like he doesn't offer, and like she just doesn't really hold it. Like she makes a comment, she says her opinion for once, which the kids never do. They always just like, take
it on the chin, kinda.
Take it on the chin, and like in a lot of ways, it's like, yeah, they could have just gone with him, and I mean they couldn't because of the timing, but because they prioritized the triplets, which they should have.
The safety of the triplets, which was, I think, the right call. Yeah.
Yeah, because if they were up there, it'd be the exact same situation, except they cannot get to them, but they know that at the very least, like one day we'll get them down, I guess, because they can live up there for a while. So
yeah,
it's good. VFD fucks.
Very good book. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all I got. I'm out of it. I'm out of steam.
Hey.
Chat. Anybody? Any last questions? Any wrap up? Speak now or forever hold your crow peace. Okay. I guess I gotta wait a second. But I cannot wait for Hostile Hospital.
Good. Are we gonna try and do it Monday?
Yes.
Cool.
Let me double check my calendar, make sure that I don't have something planned that day, because I don't think I do. I do not, so I will go ahead and pencil this in for Monday.
Excellent.
Because
I'll have it done.
I told you, Kale, I've been working on things. I've got my calendar of events. Ooh, wait. I'll grab it later.
Join them, MC.
Yeah, I don't need to go run and grab my pencil at this moment, so because I've lost every pencil in my house now, which is peculiar, but
I'll mail you one.
oh, thanks. That's okay. So, thank you so much, Kale, for being on here with me. Thank you, chat, for hanging out. A good stream and a good video. And I don't know how to end it. Did we have a sign off? Oh, stream's not done.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, I guess it's not. The video's done, but
yeah. All right.
But-
See you next time. Baudelaire bookends.
yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, let's do that one. Baudelaire bookheads. I
Yeah.
like that. Baudelaire bookheads. We're gonna come up with something. Like I want. We're doing with that idea. I like that idea. All right.